Our next speaker will be Will Campbell, and he's with us with his wife is with him, and they are from Rich Valley Farm in Saltville, Virginia. And they raise and sell pastured chicken, beef, and pork, as well as bone broth and smoked meats cooked on their farm kitchen. Will is going to discuss your farm products by direct marketing. This is something that has been requested from several producers and customers that here at Timeless Fence that we work with, and it's also something that we're going to have, we'll be talking about at our 3-day summit in September. So at this time, I'd like for Will to come up.
There you go. All right. I feel naked with my hat off. Oh, me, y'all doing all right? Y'all gonna have to wake up a little bit. Well, before we get into who I am and what we do, I want to start out by telling you who I'm not and what I don't do. And I am not a public speaker, and I feel like I need to apologize in advance for that. One of the benefits of being a farmer is you're out there by yourself, and that's one of the things that drew me to farming is the isolation, and I've always been a little bit socially awkward, and yeah, I apologize for that. But anyways, here we are, and they told me the time slot for this thing, it was like 3:15 to 4 o'clock, and I was like, goodness gracious, 45 minutes. What am I supposed? I don't know if I've ever stood in front of people for 45 minutes at one time, and so anyways, I'm not in my element, but we have been marketing directly. My wife and I, we own and operate Old Rich Valley Farms, and our farm has been a work in progress. You know, we've been transitioning the way we've farmed and are continuing to transition, and with that has become the direct marketing model. And we've read a lot of how-to books and learned a lot. And I feel like I'm finally to the point where I could write my own book. Not a how-to book, but probably like a how-not-to book. Like this is don't do it this way. Here how not to do it by Will Campbell or something like that. But we have learned a lot. A little bit about what we do. We do sell pasture-raised beef, chicken, and pork. We do raise some eggs, but not at the scale that we do our meats. Joel Salatin has been a big influence in our way of thinking towards farming and towards life, really. But we've read a lot of his stuff, and I grew up on a beef cattle farm, and we just live in beef cattle country. A lot of our farming ground is not really farmable. It's steep and rocky, and so most farms kind of can pick out patches here and there to put up enough hay to feed the cows through the winter. And so I grew up wanting to farm, but just thinking that if I was going to farm, cows is what you got to do. And cows, if you're going to raise cows, you need what? You need grass, you need acres, you need land. And so if we're going to make a living, I was thinking more cows, more acres, more land, thinking vertically. But thankfully Joel Salatin kind of switched our idea of thinking, and so we've been kind of transitioning since then. Let's see here. There we go. So a little bit, I know we're going to talk mostly about direct marketing, but a little bit about the production side. And for the record, we're planning on talking about direct marketing, but we're also I'd rather talk about whatever. We're here to help you however we can. We've made a lot of mistakes and learned a lot the hard way. I can't tell you how to do everything, but I can tell you how not to do some certain things for sure. But I know there's a question time at the end. But if you got any questions as we go, feel free to raise your hand up, and we can clarify stuff, or whether it's on topic or not on topic. But as far as quickly over the production side of stuff, our farm it grows a lot of grass, a lot of so a lot of pasture, and pasture consists of, grasses and legumes and weeds, and so the good thing about, the land naturally producing all that forage, or well, I guess the bad thing about that is we can't eat a lot of what our land naturally produces, right? But cows and pigs and chickens can, and they can do it in a way that is, good for them and good for the land and healthy for us, right? So our farming plan is kind of to convert all that, that vegetation that we can't eat into healthy protein that we can in a way that's good for the animals, good for the land, and good for our community. So yeah, we raise, there's a picture of our cows, and we do have pasture raised chickens. We do the Joel Salatin style shelters where we move them to fresh grass every day. We just raise our chickens in the growing season for multiple reasons, but not to get into all the the production stuff. But anyways, we do have we have an Airbnb cabin that we built there on the farm. Just another way to we feel blessed to live in a beautiful part of the country, and it's a way that we can get a way to share that with other people, and it can be another way of diversifying our income. A lot of our farm is wooded. We probably 2/3 of our farm is woods or mountain, which is not great for cattle, but it's good for pigs, and pigs love it, and they get to run around. We set up paddocks through the woods, about ½ acre to an acre paddocks, and we rotate them through there, and they dig and root, and we eat acorns and whatever pigs will eat anything, but there's a little bit just about kind of the production end. One of the things that you've been hearing so far today is talking about diversity, and that's really important, not just to our farm, but just to life in general. We let's see here. Yeah, if you take a walk through the woods, you see a variety of life. You got plants and animals and birds and bugs and trees and shrubs, and living things need other living things and depend on other living things and contribute to other living things. Like a living thing is not just living for itself, but it contributes to the the greater purpose of all other living things, and that's something that Joel Salatin continuously talks about. But that's something that we're that we try to do, and you can kind of look here how we move our chickens through through the field, and you can kind of see where our chickens have been compared to where they haven't been. That's I mean that grass. I mean, it just jumps up. They fertilize it for us. We don't have to hook a tractor up or whatever. Those chickens, they fertilize the field, and whenever we graze the cattle, there's more grass for them, and they love it. That's what they go to first. And so trying to manage our grass, it's a way that's it's good for the chickens, it's good for the cows, it's good for the grass, and it's healthy food for us. And so trying to diversify in a way that is a win-win-win all the way around. So another thing that we try to do is add value where we can. We do have we have an on-farm kitchen it's VDAC, like Virginia Department of Ag to Consumers inspected or whatever. But it allows us to move some products that are maybe harder to sell. Like we process a lot of chickens, and we cut some up, which is another value-added thing right there. You can you can sell whole chickens, which is what we used to do for a couple of years, and then we started cutting them up and selling parts, which it adds value to the chicken, but also adds value to the consumer, because there's lots of people that don't know how or want to cut up a chicken. So what are you producing, and how many different ways can you sell that? You know what I mean? Like you can sell berries, or you can turn those berries into jams or jellies or something like that, right? Like you can sell a tree, or you can sell firewood, or you can turn that wood and turn it into a rocking chair, right? And so it's sort of just thinking about what do you produce, and what are some different ways that you can produce it. But the kitchen is one of the things that we've done, and allows us to you know, we process chickens, and so it takes the backs and feet are something that are not very popular to sell. There's not a whole lot of people wanting chicken backs and feet, right? But Amy will take those and make chicken broth, and so we can you know, sell that through our on-farm kitchen. We can smoke meats. That's something that we started doing just as a family, just because we're busy and everybody's busy, and so a lot of times we just fill the smoker up with meat and then vacuum seal it and package it, and that way if we were, you know, tired or hungry or whatever, we can just throw a quick warm up some smoked meat real quick and have a good healthy meal without compromising the quality. And so we're like, man, if we eat this all the time, maybe other people would like that too. And so we can smoke meat and vacuum seal it, and we actually had this past spring had an on-farm event. So we weren't just selling the cooked chicken, but they were coming out to the farm and getting the you know, the farm experience with it. You know, so it's sort of, you know, thinking, you know, just kind of thinking outside of the box and different ways that what you produce can you know, can be beneficial to people. So yeah, we're a family farm. Amy and I, the farm that we're on is not a family farm that's been passed down to us. We jumped into a lot of debt with it, but it is just us farming, and that was one of our goals in farming, is we want to farm as a family, you know, and the family farm is well, I mean, they're getting harder to come by. You know, it's harder for family farms to pass on farms from generation to generation. You know, the average age of, you know, of a farmer, the age is growing, and the people filling in or stepping up are getting fewer. And so that was one of our goals in starting our family, and so right now the farm is our livelihood. That's what we do, and we don't know if we're going to make it or not, but we're sure we've made it this far, and we're trying. But we do know that we can't do it, or would not be able to do it, without marketing directly or diversifying. You know, this was you know, what we had to do or got to do, and part of that comes with embracing manual labor, which I think it's in our nature to want to find a way to get out of work or to make work easier, and that's what the food industry is driven by. You know, it's driven by you know, technology and equipment that basically replaces us. You know, it replaces our purpose, you know, us as people. And Joel Southton, he's got a book about, and I'm not trying to be anti-technology or equipment. I'm thankful that I don't have to put in the long hours and hard days that my grandparents had to. But I think that we should, you know, be careful when you know, I guess just keeping sight of what your goal is. And our goal is to farm together as a family. And if we're going to farm together as a family, we've got to have work to do. And so we're going to embrace that hard work, that you know, that manual labor that comes with it, I guess. And on that note, I know Wendell Berry, he talks a lot about, you know, just how the farming has changed over the years. And with that, you know, see, we're farmers are caretakers, right? We're stewards. And that's something that equipment or machinery or technology doesn't have the ability to do, is to care, right? And so, you know, replacing people with more equipment is not always the best answer. So we're trying to, embrace a model that puts us to work. So who here is marketing directly right now? A few, yeah. Who is thinking about it or transitioning to it, or considering it in the future? Okay. Well, that's good. If nobody raised their hand, I was going to be like, what do we talk about something else? But so all right, what are some of the pros or benefits to direct marketing? Increase your profit. That's one thing. For sure. And not just increase your profit, but control your profit, right? I mean, I feel like that's one of the things that, before we started marketing directly, I was just raising beef cattle, and I was getting into the beef cattle business whenever they were hot. You know, you were selling 800-pound steer for close to $2,000, you know, and then, which is not normal, you know, but it's not normal. But then here, 2 or 3 years later, that same animal that you know, I put in the same work, same expenses to raising it, and here it is worth half of that. You know, and that's hard to that uncertainty is hard to raise a family on. You know, I need a little bit more solid ground to stand on. Then I mean, there's enough uncertainty with farming as it is. You know, but basically what we figured out pretty quick is we had no control. I mean, I don't want to say no control. Like, you can pick and choose how you sell your cattle, right, or when to sell them or hang on to them. But at the end of the day, it all hinges around that commodity market, whatever that board is and those futures markets are, and whatever that price is out of my hands. You know, and I have no control over the drought in the Midwest, or the politicians in D.C., or the trade deals, or the fuel. Like, that's driven by a lot of things that are just out of my hands. And I feel like as farmers, we need to try to control as much as we can. And so that is definitely one of the deciding factors that you know, push us to direct marketing. What are some other pros to that, to marketing directly? More independent and cutting out the middleman. Yep. And I think, and with that, you know, adds other layers of opportunity for profit too, right? And for us, one of the biggest reasons to transition was well, one, it allows for the diversity that we wanted on our farm, right? If we were going to try to raise eggs, or, you know, cows and pigs and chickens and eggs on the commodity market at our scale, that wasn't going to be a deal breaker. If we were going to farm the way we wanted to farm, this is what we had to do.
This is more of a question.
Sure.
When you say direct marketing, are you saying you directly market to the individual?
By,
or do you market to a local business who then markets to the individual?
So by direct marketing, our goal was to market to families, to individuals. But in getting to that point, we do in transitioning away from the commodity market, we have looked at other CSAs, or other farms, or other people that are already marketing to individuals. Like right now, we are supplying. There's a couple farms that have a market for more than our farm can produce, and so we're selling probably half of what we produce to other farms who have a direct market themselves. And of course, we're losing, they're cutting into some of that profit too, but that's a way that we can, still produce the diversified products that we want. And then as our market grows, we can transition more to our own direct market. And that's sort of where we came from. But yeah, that's a good question. But it does allow for for the diversity, and also allows for small scale farming. It doesn't demand the high capital or the high infrastructure, or it doesn't come with a volume attached to it. It's not like you have to produce X amount to market directly. And for us, one of the biggest things that kind of pushed us to it was the relationships that we get with consumers. Being a farmer, I spend all my time by myself, which is good, but also we're social beings. We're made to interact and have relationships with each other and to need each other. And so that was I guess just thinking about the way, whenever we were sending cattle out, we'd send them out on a truckload, and I'd have no idea who was going to eat that. I don't know where it was going, and the people that were eating it, they had no idea where it was coming from. And we're living in a culture that's getting more and more disconnected from food, and as we get more and more disconnected from food, we get more and more disconnected from life, really. And so this is a great opportunity for us to bridge the gap between us and consumers that are not farmers, right? It gives us a chance to know the people that we're feeding, and it gives them a chance to know where their food is coming from and how it's raised, and that's valuable for both ends. So I also feel like we need to talk about some cons to direct marketing. Not trying to discourage from marketing directly, but also just being aware that it does come with cons, and the more prepared we are, then the better off we're going to be. But yeah, so what are some cons that would come from marketing directly?
Stuff with a product you can't sell.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. If there's no guaranteed market, right? Like you might be able to control your margins, control your prices, but if you don't have somebody at the other end that's going to buy it, then it's not worth anything, right? You know, if I got a dozen eggs, maybe it's worth $5, but if nobody will give me $5 for it, then it's just a dozen eggs. You know what I'm saying? So there is risk in going this route. There is no guaranteed market, which you know, you guys are living life, and you know there's no guaranteed anything, but yeah, that's something to be aware of, and it does stretch out your cash flow. You know, if whenever I went from selling 800-pound steers to taking those to two years old, and then paying a processor, and then putting it back in the freezer and hanging on to it for another month or two, you know, it really stretches out your cash flow. Not just stretches it out, but you continually have to invest in that product, you know, before, you know, it just, yeah, you just have to change gears, your mindset in terms of cash flow. Just curious, out of, you know, you all marketing directly or thinking about it, anybody with meat or vegetables? Yeah, so that's, yeah, not that it, yeah, that's something that you just gotta keep in mind. So one of the pros was the relationships with people, but that's also it could be listed in the cons category too, because if you're selling to people, then you got to be talking to people, right? And so that's one. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be a bad thing. I'm just y'all around people enough to know that, right? But people are people, and it is a lot of work. You know, whenever you're filling up a tractor trailer load of 50,000 pounds of meat going down the road is going like that, as opposed to switching to handing it and putting it in somebody's hands one steak at a time or one piece of ground beef at a time. It's it comes with a lot of time and a lot of communicating with people or lining up. Amy does most of that, the communicating on the, whether it's deliveries or on farm or farmers markets or whatever. If you're marketing directly, there's a people side of that comes with it, better or worse. And you mentioned one thing we need to talk about a little bit that I think is often overlooked whenever it comes to the direct marketing is, one of the pros is you can control your margins, you can control your prices. But that's also a con if we don't do it very well, and that's something that Amy and I have that we've learned the hard way. So yeah. So I guess if we're going to control our prices, we got to make sure that we're profitable, right? If we're going to, so then we have to know, okay, what do I need to sell it for to actually be profitable, right? Like what's my cost of production? What's my break even? And maybe you're not aiming at making a lot of money. Maybe you don't care if you're profitable or not. But if it's not financially sustainable, it's not sustainable, right? You might be sitting on a big old pile of money, but if you're losing a little bit of it every year, eventually it's going to run out, and that's not sustainable. You know what I'm saying? So in order for it to be sustainable, period, I don't care what your farming practices are like, right? Or how good it is for the environment, or how healthy that pig or cow or whatever it is. If the numbers don't add up, it's not going to be sustainable. And so that's on us, right? It's good that we can control our margins, but also puts another layer of responsibility on us to make sure that those margins are right. And so we need to know what it costs to produce whatever it is that we're selling. And that's not just marketing directly. I feel like that's something that we as farmers don't do good at, period, or at least I didn't anyways. Even whenever I was selling beef cattle on the commodity market, I couldn't tell you what my break even was. Like it's sort of like the game plan as well. I'm going to try to keep my costs as low, down as low as I can, and then sell it for as much as I can. And at the end of the year, hope those numbers shake out and I got a little bit left. But that's not. I mean, no successful business has a game plan like that. We have to, know our cost of production and and make sure that we're building in some profit margin into that. And yeah, you know, I feel like it's easy for farmers, for us to you know, to blame the system for, you know, getting the short end of the stick whenever you go to get meat at the grocery store. But if you're marketing directly, you know, then if it's not adding up, it's because we're giving ourselves the short end of the stick. And that's something that it takes another layer of work and record keeping and planning on our end to make sure it adds up. And like I said, we learned that the hard way. We started selling, you know, at the farmers markets and stuff, and we didn't, you know, pricing stuff it can be tricky. We started out selling sausage at like $4 a pound. We were like, well, this is what everybody else is selling it for at the farmers market, so yeah, that's good, you know. 10 minutes? All right. So anyways, I won't get into all that, but it's just important. This is just a little example about, you know, us coming to our price in terms of chicken. You know, so basically right here, this gives us our investment, and this is not what it's going to be for everybody. This is what it was for us this year, and it'll probably be a little bit different next year. You know, but so we pretty much have our investment costs into, you know, our feed storage, our brooder, shelters, crates, and based on what we think those are going to last, you know, throughout the years, that comes out to about 70 cents a chicken just towards what we've got invested in them. All right, and then you look at our expenses. So we got to buy the chick, we got to buy the feed for them, and then we've got some land to put it on, and we just, you know, figured, you know, average rent land towards what, yeah, towards, anyways, all our expenses come out to about $5.17 per chicken. So our break even just on our investment and expenses is almost $6. And then so we factored in our time, our labor, which is, you know, Amy picking up the chicks at the post office and the amount of time spent in the brooder feeding the chicks and moving the shelters every day, and then catching those chicks and, you know, transporting them to the processing area. The total amount of time that we put into it, you know, valuing that time at $12 an hour, ends up being about $1 a chicken. All right, and so right there we've got total $6.83 to produce 0.88 chickens. You know, so this is, we also have to factor in our loss. You know, we put 100 chickens out in the field. Last year we averaged about 88%, you know, and so you factor in that loss, that's another almost $1. So anyways, our total cost of producing that is $7.77. And so then we need to factor in our margin, right? See, our labor, you know, yeah, so factor in our margin, and that can be, this is where that, you know, where that direct marketing, you know, pro comes in, which we have to do. And we don't have to. If you want to break even, that's up to you. But well, we're trying to aim at 15% on our profit margin, which is $1.16 a chicken, and that makes our total break even on a live bird almost $9. And so based on that right there, if everything goes as planned, we can, you know, even if, like right now, Amy and I, we do all the labor. But if we get to where maybe our kids grow up and we want to pay them that $12 an hour to do that work, we can pay them, and everybody's paid, expenses are covered, and then Amy and I are making $1.16 a chicken if things work out like that. And obviously, you know, feed changes, and, you know, hopefully we'll get more efficient as we go, and that time will change, but that's where we are right now. And yeah, so then, yeah, we're looking at a $9 chicken, but then there's not a whole lot of people that are interested in buying live chickens. You know, not many people want a chicken with a bunch of, you know, living with a bunch of feathers on it. So then we got to process that chicken, or have somebody else process it. And if we take it to a processor, we're looking at a lot of, you know, figuring in the transportation and driving multiple trips to get it there. And most people are charging over $4 a chicken to process them. And so we process what we sell directly on the farm. And so figuring out our equipment, our process, our scalder, plucker, whatever, and then the expenses, the labels, the propane and bags, that type of stuff. And then our time based on, yeah, on our time and how fast we can process X amount of chickens. The labor comes out to $2.40. So right there, it's costing us $3.10 to pay everybody and pay our, you know, our expenses and cover our investment. And then again, we have to factor in that profit margin there too. So we're, So 45 cents, you know, so in this scenario, we can remove ourselves from processing chickens and just, you know, have people, you know, our kids or whoever process those chickens without us being there, and we can still make 47 cents a chicken. And so that makes the processing, yeah, $3.57. And it is important. That's one of the things that's really important if you're going to market directly, is make sure that you are adding profit into every step. You know, because if you just look at the beef industry as a whole, you know, whoever's raising that cow-calf is hopefully going to make a little bit, right? You would hope, you know, and typically it goes to a stocker man next. Somebody's going to buy it and put weight on it, and hopefully they're making a little bit, you know, and then they're going to be trucked out to the feedlot. Hopefully that trucker's making a little bit. And then the feedlot man's going to make a little bit, and that next trucker's going to make a little bit, and then the packing house is going to make a little bit, and then the truck driver, and then the grocery. You're right. There's margins built into the beef production on a lot of steps. And so if you're going to do all those steps, you better make sure that each one of those steps is profitable. Does that make sense? And that's hard for us to wrap our minds around. But if it's not profitable, it's not sustainable. You know, why do it? You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't have to be profitable. Maybe you just want to break even on processing, but know what your break even is. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, that's where we are with our, yeah, so we've got a $9 live chicken, process it, that gets our total to $12. But then again, you know, we read Joel Salatin's book about processing chickens, and you know, he had it lined up to where everybody would you know, show up on farm ready to pick up these chickens as they were processed, which works out great. But we don't have everybody ready to pick up those chickens the day of processing, so we gotta have a freezer to put them in, right? And if you're processing lots of chickens, you gotta have lots of freezers. If you're gonna have lots of freezers, you gotta have a building to put them in. And those freezers with chickens in them aren't going to do any good unless you got a way to get them to people, whether that's on-farm store or farmer's market or making deliveries or whatever the case is. You're going to have to do something with that product and get it into people's hands, and that's going to take you time and money, and that has to be factored into your prices. You know, so we spent probably $20,000 into freezers, and so if we've got $8,000 of freezers that's just devoted to chickens, well, then those chickens have to cover that investment, and so we have to build that into our prices. You know, farmers markets is kind of one of the ways that we started, you know, kind of getting our face out there, but that's not really the end goal. You know, Joel Salatin, he does a lot of monthly drops and deliveries. And so we're trying to get pre-orders to the farmers markets. It's hit and miss. You know, sometimes you sell stuff, sometimes you don't. You got some days it's worth going and some days it's not, but you never know till you go. But anyways, but just right now we've tried 4 different farmers markets, and right now Amy's going to one consistently. And if you just factor in, and that's a 5-hour market, and she gets there early, and but by the time you know, she's loading coolers at 6 in the morning. And then by the time she goes and does her thing and gets back, she's getting back at 2, and that's 8 hours. And this is not a job that you just want to pay somebody, you know, like this is the face of our farm, and she's representing our, you know, this is a valuable part of communicating what we do. And you factor in all that stuff. And so we factor that time at $20 an hour, and that's, you know, including the setup and the vehicle and all that stuff. But so basically, if that's $160 to sell at the farmers markets, you know, if we sell beef, chicken, and pork, you know, so basically a third of that is what we're paying to sell our chicken. That's $54 that it's costing us to sell our chicken. And so if we're going to divide that $54 into, if we sell 10 chickens, that's $5, and you know, I mean, that's about what we're averaging right now, is selling about 10 chickens. And so, anyways, you have to. That's kind of how we came to our $4 a pound, and that's still not factoring in as much margin. You know, I don't know what the solution is. You know, I'm not trying to give you a how-to or this is what you ought to do, but I do know that you have to make sure that you're keeping track, or, you know, recording your time, keeping track of your time, and knowing where your break-even is, and where, you know, what your profit is. And so this is what it kind of looks like for our chicken. But we have to do the same thing for our pork, and the same thing for our beef, and the same thing for our eggs. And that's a lot of record keeping, and that's a lot of keeping up with your time. And it's important for us to know where is your time most valuable, right? Or if one part is not as valuable, then we got to know, either adjust our prices or focus more on what is more profitable. So a few options as far as you know, marketing. We live out in the middle of nowhere. We're a mile from our closest neighbor. We don't have, I mean, it takes us half hour to get it anywhere. And so we can produce a lot of food, but there's not that many people around. So we got to figure out a way to get food to people. And we do have a lot of people that are around to pick up, you know, that will come out. But we do some farmers markets. Herd shares is something that we started doing. So basically we can sell whole animals, half animals, or herd shares is where basically we sell like a half a beef, and people can pay monthly and have that half a beef divided up over 12 months. And that's become pretty popular, and it helps us to plan on you know, knowing how much meat's going to be going out every month.
So it's like they pay ahead of time, and then at the end of the 12 months they get their meat?
So they'll pay a deposit up front, like a $100 deposit, and then they'll pay monthly and then get meat monthly. And so that's kind of how we do our herd shares. Anyways, I better get into some other stuff. What we got, he gave me the 5-minute warning. So we do, as far as you know, reaching people. I know the internet is kind of a blessing and a curse, but it is a tool that has allowed us to reach people that we wouldn't otherwise be able to reach. And I'm not super crazy about social media, and I don't understand or have any control over the algorithms and how it all works. And it scares me a little bit, to be honest with you. You know, I think they can have agendas behind them, and so I think we right now it's a tool that we can use, but it's again not a long-term goal. What we're hoping to do is connect with people through our website and get email addresses. That way, that doesn't have to go through any algorithms. You know what I'm saying? Like if we can get somebody's email, and so we do weekly emails, updates for people that subscribe or want emails. And so basically they sign up, and we just give an update about what we do every week. And they get those emails. And but it's really important just to communicate, you know, to continuously learn and communicate what you're learning. You know, where you are and where you're going. The last slide, and then so this is pretty important as far as marketing your products. You know, is one, telling your story, and you know, where you been, where you going, and take people on that ride now. But I think you know, communicating your values is something that we should. Anyways, I guess, you know, as farmers are caretakers, right? And it's our job to care, and so we care about our value, and that I guess our values are the value of our product is a reflection of our values as a farmer, and that's what we have to communicate, right? There's a lot of people that see the price difference in what we produce and what's at a grocery store, and so we have to communicate the value that, you know, that comes with that. But anyways, I better wrap it up. But any questions?
I think we got a few of them here. Hold on, I'll get you first. He's going to grab that mic too.
What's the worst deal you got into? The worst deal, did you lose money on pigs? Did you lose money on chickens? Did you lose money on beef?
So the worst deal was probably with our sausage. So we were selling sausage and not, you know, we didn't have it priced to cover our expenses, you know, and a lot of times we're like, well, we need to sell more. And then you put sausage on sale for $3 a pound instead of $4 a pound. Now you're losing more money a hog, you know. So I guess it's important to know that not all sales are profitable, right? So if you say, what's a good day at the farmer's market? You know, is a good day $400 or $2,000 or whatever? Well, it depends on what's your cost of production in producing whatever it was you sold, right?
I noticed you had a lot of employees sleeping on the job. Do you have plans to change that? That's my little boy Haston, and that's part of. So he does. He's, you know, farming as a family. He falls asleep
Well, they got to just tag along and go with us. You know, they get tired, they sleep, they get hungry, they eat, and they're along for the ride. And he can sleep like no other. And so that's one of the things that we kind of capture and share through social media. You know, as far as telling our story to people as we go. But yeah, he's a sleeper for sure.
I was wondering about like feed for pigs and chickens. Like, I suppose they need some sort of other feed besides just what they're getting off the grass.
Right. Yep.
And I was wondering what you use or how that works.
So we get feed from Sunrise Farms, which is they produce non-GMO feed. They're up in Shenandoah Valley, like Stewart's Draft. And obviously, you know, like the non-GMO feed is going to be a little more expensive than your commodity grains, and so you just have to reflect that into your prices and communicate that to your customers.
So are you marketing non-GMO, organic? What's your target market there, and how do you feel in terms of trying to meet those demands?
So we're not. I mean, we do use non-GMO feed, but we're not organic or certified. We're not really certified anything. We're just kind of trying to do the best we can with everything we do, and just offer transparency with that. You know, we're not saying we're anything. We're saying, hey, we're farming. Here's what we want to do, and you're welcome to. You know, we're just trying to offer transparency to show this is what we do, and you can come out and see, you know, people will come out and see how we process chickens, or you know, look at the cows or pigs or whatever. And so that's kind of our yeah, we're aiming more for the transparency than a certain label or sticker, I guess. And that's something that you all, you know, in pursuing direct marketing need to, you know, like there's nothing that compares to knowing your farmer, right? Like if you're going to provide food for people, you know, I guess what can you trust? I mean, there's you know, people can put labels on anything. You know what I mean? There's these you know, big producers can find a way to get an organic sticker, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's. Anyways, like I think we need to be selling, you know your food, and know, if you don't know your food, to know the farmer that produced it, and you're a farmer, and you can offer that transparency and share what you're doing.
Okay, I actually got a question. So with the way it's going in the supermarket, sometimes supplies are getting a little low. Sometimes they're, you know, the prices are spiking a little bit. Shopping local, are you pushing that? I mean, is there a network of farmers working together to push shop local? Because I'm looking at that too. I'm thinking we need to start looking locally.
Well, I mean, and it just makes sense. I mean, you think about we live, or at least I live in a farming place, farming community. There's a lot of beef that's produced there, and where does it go? We don't know. It just goes out of here somewhere. But there's a lot of people here that eat. Where's that coming from? Well, we don't know that either. You know, I think the local model makes sense, and I think people are understanding that. And not only does it make sense, but it's beneficial to the farmers. It's beneficial to the community. I mean, that's what community is. Community is not just you know, neighbors who you see and wave at. Like, it's people who need and depend on each other, right? And I think systems like that are growing. And I think networking with farmers is the way forward. You know, like I think even as meat producers, or you know, CSAs or whatever, I think if you look at life works together, and it's all better for it. And the more that we can work together, the better we're going to be for it. And so I do think that is the way forward. And I think communicating that is. You know, like what it comes down to is in communicating your values, like we value, you know, the health of the land, the health of the animals, the health of the people that are eating it, and the health of the community, right? And it might mean, to some it might look like it costs more, but to us it's more valuable. That's what we value, and we're blown away by the people that value those things. You know, like we live in a world that's driven by cheap and convenient food. And we're straight up. We'll tell you that's not our goal. Not that we're not trying. Like, obviously we want to produce affordable food, and we want to make it as convenient as possible. But that's not our goal, and we're not going to compromise the health of what we're doing for that. And that's something that in communicating your values, you have to be genuine. That's one of the things I love about Joel Salatin is he is who he is, and he doesn't, you know, like he says, I'm a libertarian, Christian, environmentalist, capitalist, whatever, you know, and he doesn't change that according to whoever he's around. And so we tell people, you know, hey, here's what we value and what we believe and what we do. And if you value that, great. And if you don't, that's fine. That's fine. No hard feelings. But don't try to sell to everybody. You know what I'm saying? You communicate your values, and there's going to be people out there that value what you value, right? I mean, that's the name of the game right there, I think. Yeah, anyways.
All right, anybody else? Let's give Will a good hand. Good job. He can talk.
Ah.